Let's do it. Welcome everyone to another Games Talk Live. Yes, this is going to be a brutal one, people. This one is going to be insane. Look, I'm already so hot about all this stuff. I'm not wearing my freaking headphones today. I am that hot. My ears are ringing, they're burning, they're steaming. There's so much to get into. Man, Hargeet, welcome back, by the way. We didn't have you on last week because you were working out in LA after the festivities, but it didn't take long for Xbox to step on that rake, right? We're back.
Yeah, and some studios may not be, but oh well.
Oh, gosh. I don't think it's an oh well moment for you, Hargeet. I think, you know, some of those studios will be missed by you and many others. So Hargeet, before I get to our guest really quick, I mean, you weren't here last week for the show, and I guess it's like hindsight's 2020 now, looking back at the showcase and everything. I know you really enjoyed it as well as we did, but I mean, what was your number on that show as it was?
I'd say it was like a good 9 or so. It was great. Now I give it like a 5 because I don't know if it was all lies. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to wait and see how many lies were in that showcase.
Yeah. Well, we will see. You know what isn't a lie? Holly's here. That blue number. Thank you for being here once again, Holly. You know, I'm not even going to ask what you've been playing because it doesn't matter. We might not be playing anything. Stuff might not be coming out anymore. Who gives a shit? No. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
It's good to be here. And I've been playing Doom the Dark Ages. So.
Yeah.
For the
Doom the Dark Ages.
second or third time.
And I know that they've got a DLC that's supposed to be coming out. Is it still
July
coming out?
7th.
I don't know.
July 7th, it's got to be done and in the can either way, right?
July 7th, it'll be here. That one I think we can count on for sure. Aside from that, though, honestly, I don't know. Let's just get into this situation, okay? So obviously, you guys have heard that, you know, after that awesome showcase that we saw, what was it? Day before yesterday, we started hearing that studios were, or was it yesterday? Day before. It was the day before, right? Studios were in sort of limbo.
It started Monday.
Something came out
which
Friday.
Basically yesterday.
Right?
Yesterday. It was yesterday then. Yesterday.
It was yesterday. It was basically Monday.
Sorry. It feels like it's been a month, honestly. This situation, looking at everything, it feels like it's been a while that we're staring in the face of death to Xbox. Anyways, I'm not saying that. I'm not being real. Anyways, but so yesterday morning we started hearing about, you know, studios possibly getting closed, possibly being spun off, and the studios that were coming up were like Ninja Theory, Compulsion, Arcane Leon. Those were the first three I heard about. And then it got me thinking about this, Hargeet. I was thinking about the rumor that we heard just a couple of weeks back from Jeff Grubb stating that Blade might be canceled. And I'm like, oh, there it is. There it is. So he must have got wind from somebody that knew that Arcane Leon was on the chopping block when Arcane Leon didn't even know they were on the chopping block. There it is. There it is.
No, they're not.
They actually are, unfortunately.
There's only one person who's reported that.
So who's that one person?
Mike Straw from Insider Gaming.
Okay. Hasn't Jason Schreier kind of backed up some of this stuff with that studio and the other studios?
The other three, yes, but not Arcane.
All right. Well, it's being reported by Mike Straw of IG Insider Gaming. Shout out to Mike, by the way. I met him over that weekend. Really cool guy.
Unless you know him more, Hargeet, because you're laughing. So I don't.
I'm not gonna reveal anything.
There's more studios than just that, by the way, that I'm hearing as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, at the end of the day, lots of the smaller studios are going away. And Hargeet, how did you feel when you heard this news yesterday? What was your first instinct? Besides texting me and saying, hey, we're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow.
I mean, it was kind of just what I expected. Once we heard that news about the exclusivity, I'm like, yep, they're going to switch it. And so like, I was fully expecting them to pull Gears from Game Pass. That didn't happen, but I still think that is still on the table as far as day and date games coming out of Game Pass.
For sure.
I'm pretty positive that's going to happen. And then, the rest of this is just going to be, hey, we're going to play the PlayStation game. And we're going to shut down everything that's quirky and fun. And we're going to have big games. And that's that. Have a nice day. So,
I mean,
I'm not surprised by any of this. I fully expected it.
Yeah, you were talking about this, especially when we were talking about taking away day and date out of Game Pass. You were like, well, then all the small studios are going to close because as I've been saying for a long time, these games,
they don't make money on
these smaller titles, they don't make money off of them. And without Game Pass was basically life support for studios like Compulsion and Double Fine. Double Fine was the other one that I heard about. So I don't know. I think that, and I've been asking people that same question, and every time I get the same answer, which is basically your answer. It can't survive without Game Pass. Those studios can't survive without them.
Shout out to Colt. Anybody got some secret emails?
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about the secret emails for sure. But I want to get your reaction, Holly. When you heard about this yesterday, what was your first reaction, and what were you? How did you feel?
Well, Arcane's my favorite studio, so I'm obviously hyper tuned into what's happening on Twitter about that one. I think everything that we're hearing, except for Arcane, is pretty well established. I don't think there's much to doubt in what we're hearing with those. Arcane's the one I think is still up in the air that we don't really know about, whether you think so or not. And it's unfortunately not a surprise. I say this with compassion because I don't mean it to sound rude to anybody who's losing their job. But, Compulsion was not a large surprise to me just because of the sales numbers and the types of games that they make are a little more niche, right, than probably the sales that I think I read correct me if I'm wrong, I think that game was like $100 million to make, which is quite large for, a game of that audience size, I would say. But they, everybody loved it, but unfortunately awards don't buy you sales, right? So BAFTA awards or Canadian Game Awards or whatever the case may be it sounds terrible, and it doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day unless you're breaking even or making money on whatever it is that you're producing, whether it's large AAA or tiny, little indies. That's the bottom line. Can you survive on this, and can you make money? That's it. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
And Ninja Theory is a mastercraft at what they do, but they made 3 Hellblade games, and I'm just counting Senua in that for the sake of the fact that it's within the same vein, right? 3 Hellblade games back to back, and those games were pretty niche anyway, and I was really surprised they didn't have them really do something else. Like, I know Bleeding Edge, but like, come on, right? Like, I think it would, for them, would have been better to be able to have different projects peppered in between the Hellblade games, but hopefully they find a way out of the hole that they're in. And then Double Fine is the one that hurts me the most, because I really love Double Fine. I think Tim Schafer is just
I love
beautiful...
Psychonauts, not necessarily
Yes.
Double Fine.
I love Double Fine. Keeper was really good. It took you to the last half of it. It wasn't,
You and 5 others played it, my friend.
It wasn't their
unfortunately.
best work, but it was a very good game. They just make niche games. And Fonz, your taste and mine are very different, and that's what makes gaming beautiful.
Oh, of course,
right?
of course. But I think, like, objectively, like, a lot of people didn't play Keeper.
Right. And so that is the thing, right? Is I just have to think that Double Fine had something else, or has something else that's much further along.
Of course they do.
Because how do you have Kiln
They
and
do.
how do you have Keeper, which were both very small projects, and they
Yeah.
have to have something big, close, right? It's
You would
just-
think.
We don't like.
But they might not have, and that's the thing. Like, they just showed us Senua on the stage at the showcase, and then now we hear that Ninja Theory. And by the way, Big Mad Mo, or Mo in the chat, he was asking, is any of this confirmed? Well, it's been confirmed that a lot of the developers at these studios have been told they can seek other work. They can go find another job. They've already been told this, while they're trying to either spin them off, sell them, or let them go. I don't know what they're going to do to these studios. Either close down, spin off, or go find another job. They've already been told this at those studios that we're talking about, unfortunately. But again, to your point, Holly, I agree with you that, in this kind of reset moment for Xbox, that's one of the hard things that they had to look at and do, get rid of some of these studios, some of the bloat, if you will, to try to make room for, because as Asha stated, they might be taking more risk with bigger titles instead in the future, and trying to push their tentpole franchises out sooner. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, is it's taking forever for them to complete a game. And it's not just them now. I'm not just pointing at them. Look over at Sony, look over at all the big
everybody.
Publishers. They all have this problem, except I have to make a clarification here. Western devs. Because if you look over at Japan, you've got those like Capcom out there, those developers that are pumping out games left and right, and they're just not niche little titles. They're Game of the Year contenders. So there is no excuse for what's going on here. So yes, it's part one. Part of it is culture, I think, at the studios. I don't know if you would agree with that, Hargeet.
They definitely have, at least some of them are making games faster. They are. I don't know if the scope's different. I mean, they look like full motion cap for those RE games, right? So
Yeah.
they look pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe they aren't up to the same level. I don't know what it takes, but for a place that has a higher standard of living than even the US, they seem to be pumping out games pretty fast over there.
Yep.
So I don't know what's different, but somehow it is different. The other place is China, like Korea, China. They're coming on. And
They're pumping
doing
games
a lot.
out.
They're bringing out a whole bunch. And Asia's coming. They're gonna start pumping out games. India's starting. I mean, those two places, China and India, they can pump out a bunch of games, and it's going to cost less. And hopefully, they have enough people to actually make it happen faster. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
What's wrong with the Western market? What do you think it is, Holly? What's wrong with the Western market? Why aren't the developers here producing as fast as say, these Asian countries?
Well, I think it has this is a tough question. I think it has to do with the way Western, primarily US, but Western tech companies sort of operate, because for a long time, right? And Harky, obviously, you know tech very well, so correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like what I've always heard and seen is that, you know, tech companies lose people very quickly, right? They can be poached. It was like that. I don't think it's necessarily like that anymore per se, but like you can be poached pretty quickly. So they were adding in like ways to attract people to the company, right? Like giving longer paternity leaves, or having, you know, like lounge areas, and having, you know, large break times, and unions and coffee shops on campus, and giving them stipend, you know, like all of these like fringe benefits to working at a place. And I don't think you see that in Eastern dev culture, right? It's very timeline driven, it's very timeline oriented, it's very task oriented, and there's just way more restrictive management styles and timelines, etc., that they just meet and they adhere to, because if you're not going to do it, somebody else will, and we'll just go hire them too, right? So I don't know, and it is just a overall kind of America problem, I feel like, in not just gaming, right? It's a lot of different industries.
No, there's a lot of different industries that suffer through this stuff, and I've heard some people just call it things like, you know, they're lazy, or they're not as, you know, task oriented as some of these other countries are when it comes to their jobs, and they're not very on top of things. I don't know. Look, it all boils down to management at the end of the day. Upper management, and what they're willing to push their developers to do. I know they got rid of crunch in a lot of, you know, US studios, and even UK studios as well. And I think that itself is kind of a problem, because this industry has always been, you know, about that life. When it comes to the end of a project or nearing the end, there's always crunch, trying to get it out the door on time. And nowadays, I mean, it makes no sense to me. We got Unreal Engine 5 to help speed the process along, yet everybody's switching to Unreal Engine 5, and the games are taking twice as long to make these days. Make it make sense. I don't get it, Hargeet. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know that it's necessarily different, but it seems like it. So Capcom puts out games. That doesn't mean everybody's putting them out. And if you look at some of the other games, they're smaller. That's fair too. We do get some devs that do put, like, for instance, Activision puts out a freaking Call of Duty every year. So they're somehow managing to do it, right? So, and they have I guess about a 3-year, you know, dev cycle, because there's 3 studios, you know, splitting the, you know, the games, right? So, I don't know. It really, you know, it comes down to just how much resource you have, what you're trying to design, what you're trying to get out there. And sometimes it just takes a while. And it's an unfortunate happenstance of what's happening nowadays, is people just want to see fancier graphics in certain segments. And those segments are loud. And unfortunately, if you don't see a massive increase in fidelity, it's just not good enough, right? And it's like, well, okay, if that's so. You take Obsidian. They're not the graphics powerhouse. They're supposed to be a story-driven, you know, studio, and they put out games, and they don't look AAA, and that's it. That was enough to say, okay, we're not going to be bothered, right? So, you know, are those games good? Yes, but are they good enough? And that's always the problem, right? Everybody looks at it from that lens. Now, Obsidian has been churning out games. Most of this gen, they've been churning out games. Does that mean that they're all big? No. Pentament's a small game. Grounded's a small game. Grounded 2 is a small game. But they're still games. And like, and if that's what you're looking for, you just want games, that's a model, right? They put out Outer Worlds 2. They put out Avowed. Like, they've put out a bunch of games. Is that enough? No, it's not, because everybody's expectation is everything's going to look like a $400 million, $500 million budget game. But sorry, that doesn't work. And so if you want something that's a smaller budget, that's not going to kill, break the bank, but give you games, then you have to accept that it's not going to look great. And this has been the thing. So if you want games to come out that look fantastic, that have everything, that are 500 hours long, well, okay, just wait. It is gonna, and that's what you're gonna just wait. And I've been complaining about this for like a half a decade. I don't like it. I don't want games to take 5, 10, 15 years to come out. Why can't they come out in 2 years like they did in the 360 gen? Well, the answer is you want every blade of grass to have to look perfect. Every pixel's got to work right. Everything's got to motion correctly. Who cares? How many times are you looking at the freaking grass? But if you have freaking DF sitting there going, well, you see, if I zoom in 200 times, that pixel's off. Who gives a shit? I mean, seriously. But that's where we are. Unfortunately, that's where we are. And everybody's going to sit there and complain about, oh, well, did you see that watermelon didn't break up the... Who cares? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? This is the kind of crap that happens, okay? And then the whole sentiment comes down. It's like, well, you didn't make good games. It's mid. It's a mid-80s meta. Like, oh, it's mid. Okay, whatever, dude. Like so whatever. They just, and this is what they see, and then it like, well, that game's not good. It's woke. It's trash. Nobody buys it. Nobody plays it. There you go. So, is it just that they're lazy and it takes too long, or is it because everybody keeps piling on them and says it's got to be better? It's got to be better. It's got to be better. Why? Like. Why isn't a game just obvious, supposed to be fun?
It's obvious when you look at a studio like Capcom, because looking it up, like Resident Evil 9 took 6 years for them to develop. It's obvious that they've been multitasking, right? Making other games at the same time.
Well, Capcom's the publisher.
But the development teams. I'm wondering how Xbox, like, why some of their studios don't multitask in that way and try to create some compelling titles at the same time.
Obsidian made many games, and the generation.
Obsidian was the one studio that did. You're right. Obsidian was the one studio. They had Avowed. They had Outer Worlds 2. And by the way, I think Outer Worlds 2 is a good game, but
Grounded
a lot of people didn't care for it. Grounded. Yep. Yes.
And you have Playground that's put out Forza Horizon 5, Forza Horizon 6, and they're getting Fable out in the next.
So you have a couple of studios doing that there.
So
but then you look at some other studios and you got to wonder, were they using Coalition to help out with other studios? Is that why it took so long for Gears E-Day to drop? Is it because they're being used in other ways, or what's your thought on that?
On Gears, they told us that they were going to do something different to try to learn UE5, and we all just gave them the grace. We're like, hey, you've pumped out, like, they carried the Xbox One gen, so like, fine, you know what? Go ahead, do that, and go ahead and learn, right? And yes, they do lend them out to everybody else. That's fair.
Yeah.
And they did have that like demo of a game that they were putting together. Remember, there was like a guy in a cave, and there was like this fog.
Yeah, and then they canceled it. Yeah.
And they canceled that game. And like, okay, fine, whatever. You chose to cancel that game. Fine, whatever, right? But they were working on something else. And then they said, okay, no, stop, just go work on Gears. Fine, fair enough. And so now they've got E-Day coming out. And is that a little longer in the tooth than everything else? Sure, because they were working on something else in between and learning UE5. And from the looks of it, the time worked. Like, they are putting out a game that looks stunning, right, to meet all the quality requirements, and it runs really well. It's not like, at least it didn't show to me it was stuttering and all that crap that you get with UE. So they figured out a way to make it work, and it's going to work on the Series S and Series X really well, and of course PC, it'll be good on PC, right? But they did the work that was needed to make UE5 run. Okay, so good for them. They figured it out. And that's a studio you expect to do that, right? That was the studio making those games at Epic, right? That they were the ones making Unreal work, right? So they know how to make that thing work, and that's what they were doing. So I'm gonna give them like a little bit of leeway. Fine, fair enough.
Grace,
like that's what Coalition does. They understand the engine. They're going to make it hum, and they're going to show you what UE can do and what these boxes can do, right? They're going to push the boxes. That's good. You want to see that. So cool. What's Halo Studios' excuse?
Yeah.
Like what's going on there? Okay, so I'm going to get campaign evolved. Okay. That's basically like, okay, yes, I can give them Halo Infinite, which was supposed to launch at the freaking beginning of the gen, but didn't. It took a year later.
Yeah.
Why don't I have more Halo games? Like, what is going on? They could, if I go back again, 360 gen, I had many different Halo games, right? What happened? It's just been.
Yeah, every 3 years. Every 3 years, you had a bunch of Halo games come out. Like,
yeah, and so I don't know what's going on, because you had Halo Wars, you had ODST, you had Reach, you had Halo 4, all that came out on the 360 gen, right? So they had Spartan Assault, like all this stuff, right? I'm like, okay, where's the output? Like, that's your main franchise. But look, I don't want to pile on these things.
No. I know, but it's worth mentioning. It's worth mentioning.
Some studios are putting out games. Now you mentioned another one, Double Fine, right? They put out Psychonauts 2. They're working on another mainline, and they're like, hey, we have side teams. Let's put out little content. Here you go. You can have a kiln, or you can have the keeper. But we're working on something other it's bigger, but we're not ready for that. Okay, but they did put out multiple games, right? So there are studios like that are doing that, and then there are studios that just take time for everything. So I don't know if it's good or bad, but we're in a little bit of an interesting time with where Xbox is in, like, trying to, like, so they're pivoting away from what Phil was doing, right? Phil was like, I need content to make Game Pass work, right? That was the point, right? So I need a whole bunch of studios that would put games into that service, so you have a reason to be here. Well, they're saying, F that, that's gone. We're gonna shut these things down because they don't make us enough money. Well, but the promise of Game Pass was that you have games, right? Even if you don't play the games, you have games. That was the point. And it's like the same thing with, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff on Netflix, a whole bunch. Does everybody watch all of it? No,
obviously.
But they have to put stuff there for you to be there. It's just the way it is. They have to keep putting stuff there.
Yeah, but herein lies the problem. It goes back to what you said at the beginning of the show. I, like you, believe that day ones might still go away. I think.
I'm pretty sure they will.
Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing, because I'm going to be real and raw here about the situation. So, despite what I personally think about Game Pass, if I'm Asha and I'm trying to rebuild the brand, I have to reevaluate Game Pass as well as everything else. And so that is what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at what kind of things do we put in here that actually draw people to the service, and what kind of things do we put in here that don't. And I think that you have to trim there as well. And I think you have to look at the aspect of, a subservice versus selling your games day one. She'll have to reevaluate whether or not it's good to put games day one rather than, say, 6 months out or a year later. All of that will be looked at for sure. I mean, because obviously with a 3% accountability margin, they're telling you they're not making enough money. They're not. And I've been saying this about Game Pass, despite people saying it's making $5 billion in revenue. The profits are less, of course. But at the end of the day, I've always conceded, yes, while it makes profits, and I've said this on the show to you, Hargeet, as well, it's not enough for Xbox. And that's just the simple truth when it comes to Game Pass. So they will reevaluate that stuff, and who knows what changes there, or if it changes at all. I'm not saying it will, but I guarantee you they are looking at it hardcore right now. Mm-hmm. Let me get to some of these super chats before they go away. Danny Passion, thank you for the 5. He says, I hate that people are going to lose their job, but these studios had one single job to make a great game, and they didn't. Some people would disagree, Danny, but I understand what you're saying as a whole. Like, when you look at how many people didn't play the games or won't play the games, I kind of understand. And I agree from, my viewpoint. I kind of look at it the same way you do, but others like Hargeet and Holly, they like, some of these smaller games. And I like some small games too. Like, don't get me wrong, but Like South of Midnight, I didn't care for. I stopped playing it. I started it, never finished it. Clout Lord 323, thank you for the 5. He says, did you guys see Mag's secret emails about Blade getting canceled and Bungie going through layoffs? How does he have inside info from every industry? Well, we'll get into this, that stuff later. I have a lot to say on that situation, a lot. Danny Passion with the 5 says, Obsidian should be competing with Baldur's Gate, Pillar of Eternity. They have a lot of potential for that. Nobody asked for Avowed to change the OG looks. Look, I know some people didn't like the way it looked or whatever, but a lot of people that played the game actually really liked Avowed. So, I mean, it's one of those games that, I tried to play for a couple hours. I couldn't get into it, but I was told if you stick with it, it gets really good. I don't know. One day I might replay that game. I might try to go back and replay it and see if I can get into it. But some games just aren't for everybody. That's for sure. But that I will give you this. That game did not sell. It did not really sell very well at all. Mr. Too Opinionated with the 2 says, about to slide into... I didn't even pre-read this at all. My God. He's about to slide in your DMs, Holly.
Hello. How you doing?
She's like, how you doing? I got my drink. All right. So anyways, yeah. Oh, man. Next, we're going to have somebody sliding into your DMs, Hargeet.
But I don't have any DMs.
Oh, yeah. There's no DMs to have. Random commentator M3T with a 2 says, Satya doesn't understand gamers. He hurt Xbox bad. I will agree that he doesn't understand gamers. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that there's a lot of stuff that Satya has done that has caused a big mess in the gaming world, for sure. Chasing AI is one of those things, for sure. Because he's hurt everybody with that. I agree. Colt, shut up. He already slid into my DMs. Oh, man. Gaming Forte, I haven't seen you in forever, man. $4.99. Thank you very much. He says, Fonz, miss you, bro. Have a great show. Same for Hargeet and Holly, too. Same to you, brother. I got to have you back on sometime, man. It's been so long. I haven't talked to you in forever. So, 9 Lives, speaking to your point, he says, Fonz, most of these studios are bloated. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. They're going, not only are they going to spin off or close studios that we're talking about, they're also going to trim a lot of these studios down. I think if they don't get rid of like Halo Studios, Hargeet, I think they're going to trim them down. I really do. I think that's definitely going to be something that we're going to see more of.
Do you think that's the better thing, though, is just like get rid of it?
With that Halo, studio, though? For me, my personal... Okay, I'll go to you, Holly. What do you think about what Hargeet just said? What do you think would be better? To get rid of Halo Studios or trim them down?
I think it's a super unfortunate crisis that Xbox is in with Halo, because that is their flagship franchise. And where the heck has anything been besides some multiplayer updates here and there since 2021? I guess we've got Combat Evolved coming up, but like that's not really for Xbox guys, right? That's really to take it over to PlayStation. They're in a pickle. Like they need some new Halo stuff, whether it's story extension into Infinite, whether it's just a brand new game. They really need something coming out of there. Like, what are they doing? I know they did that full rebrand and did all of that in, what was that, 23? 24? When they did the full rebrand from 343 to Halo Studios and shook a few things up, I think. But...
was it 24 or 25? I think it was very recent.
Yeah, it wasn't... Yeah, it was this gen.
It wasn't too far back. Yeah.
But... The moral of the story is like that is the flagship franchise. Now, whether Halo Studios is the right place to have it at this point or not, like that's the other problem too, is like people get really attached to the studio, like Bungie. Bungie's the perfect example, right? People love Bungie, but they love Bungie for what Bungie was 15, 20, 25 years ago, right? Like it's an entirely different company now, right? It's an entire, like, almost all new people. So like the nostalgia or the member berries for things don't really necessarily equate to what's happening now. So is there a problem there? I I don't know. I hope they've shown something to leadership that just wows their socks off about where Halo's supposed to be going. But they can't just dump Halo and put it in the can for the next, 10, 15 years and say, we'll come back to it when we've got something else or somebody better to work on it. I don't think closing Halo Studios is necessarily the right thing, especially because you just did that rebrand and this is literally all they do. They just do Halo. So what are you doing on Halo, right? I don't know. Yeah. I think it's just a mystery. It's a tough.
It's weird because, like, for me personally, like, look, there's still 343 to me, and I've had a problem with 343 forever. Now, did I like Halo Infinite? Yes, I did enjoy the game, so I gave them props for that game. However, it took forever for that, and now it's like, what's going on with the studio? What are they working on? What are they doing exactly? Because the remake stuff is just not what I'm looking forward to. Like, I love that, I played Campaign Evolved at FanFest, and I thought it played really well and everything. And I'm definitely going to play through it because it's my favorite Halo. It's my favorite one. But I did not need them to remake that game, nor did I want them to remake that game. And I think a lot of people share that sentiment. But at the same time, I think right now, that's what you see the industry doing. They're not the only ones doing this kind of thing. PlayStation's doing the same thing. They're doing a lot of remakes, a lot of remasters, a lot of freaking sequels because, well, it's the safe bet. And I get it. But we want something new. Gamers want something new from the Halo franchise. We're wanting something brand spanking new. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Mr. Dashi 87 with the MX 100. I'm not sure what that is. MX.
Is it Mexico?
He says it's Is it Mexico? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. He says it's 3% accountability margin because they're still subtracting the cost of an ABK deal on their books. In reality, it's actually 16% profits, but they spread. No, this is. Oh, did they? Is that part of it? He says they spread the cost.
I don't know what the accountability margin is.
I'm not sure.
That's the thing, because it's not profit. Accountability is something different. I don't know what it actually is. So this might be fully accurate, because accountability is something else to Microsoft, right? So you would normally say your operating income, your net operating income, or your net profit, or something like that, right? That's not what they said. It's accountability, and so that probably does include some level of paying back for Bethesda and for ABK and all the other purchases, to be fair.
And honestly, even if it was 16% right now, obviously it's not enough for Xbox. They want more.
Well, 16% is insanely high. If it's
no. I'm just saying.
By the way, they were in that range. They have been in that range. So,
but let's be real, Hargy. They wouldn't be doing all this stuff if it was enough.
Yeah, it's the 30% that they were looking for. So 16 wasn't enough because it wanted to be 30. And I'm like, and this is why in some cases, now you all heard about the spinoff thing, right? I think that would be fantastic. I think that would be because it eliminates all of this.
If Xbox themselves would spin off of Microsoft,
their own targets, and then that whole thing goes so they'll have a board that will be Microsoft, and they'll be like, well, we would like this, cool, but we're gonna shoot for this because this is what makes sense for the company. Because in gaming world, to make 30% freaking margins is an insane and unbelievably insane idea. 16% is killer. Just remember that the very financially happy Sony just made a little over 10%. 10%. and they're
Okay, yeah, but
ecstatic.
we're going by Xbox's calculations here. They're saying 3% accountability margins. We're running with that because that's what they're putting out there. Sith Lord 98, member for 32 months, says, "Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Holly. Execute Order 66." What is Order 66?
Oh, it's from this stupid movie called Star Wars.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say it. BitCloud Gaming. Oh, thank you very much, BitCloud. It was great to meet you, by the way.
Yeah,
so happy to finally meet you and Hargeet in real life, bro. Yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, we just got to keep it real and look. So the studios in question, the 3 that we know about for sure that everybody's talking about, either being spun off or closed, and or they've been told to find other work. Okay, they can find other work. That's what the developers have been told. They wouldn't be getting rid of these studios if they didn't see them as not bringing enough profits in. Like, that's just the way it is. That they don't see them as bringing any value to them anymore, and that's just the brutal truth of the situation. And it's one of the things that I've been complaining about here for a while. And a lot of people were like, "What are you talking about? Their quality is great, even on those smaller games." And I tried to explain it that, again, when I finally came down to it, it's like, just imagine these studios pushing these games out without a Game Pass, without a subservice. Would they survive? And that is no. That the answer is no. And that's what I was trying to tell you guys, that these studios just, they wouldn't survive. And the thing is like, Xbox needs to, their biggest problem is not having enough compelling games to bring people to their platform. Okay, that and again, the big hurdle that they have to overcome is the price of the platform itself, the console. It's expensive, and they're going to have to lose more money. In my opinion, the way I look at it, Hargy, I don't know if you think this is this would be the right thing to do, but right now you've got the biggest watershed moment with GTA 6. Right now, if you can, I know they're already subsidizing, but they need to make their console as cheap as they can get it to undercut everyone else for GTA 6 so they can get more people onto their platform. There's still a lot of people who haven't upgraded from last gen. They need to do that. And they also need to work on compelling titles. And I think Asha is trying to do that. I really think that she wants to concentrate on more compelling titles rather than these niche little small games and stuff. I think that that's what she's looking at trying to do. Will it work? I don't know. I have no clue.
Isn't that what a bunch of big execs and CEOs have said though in the last year or two? Is like, well, we're just going to focus on our big stuff. Like,
but they've been focusing more on live service. That's another hurdle she has to overcome, competing against all those live service games. Those are the biggest games out there.
If everybody's just doing big, then like it's just harder competition, right? It just makes it more difficult. Like, we're already seeing what happens when you have a bunch of different size games coming from all over the place. I mean, yes,
so
GTA
what
is.
What are you saying then? Are you saying that like it's too much competition for the little guy? Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm saying it's a dangerous path for all of the big companies to only be focusing on big games because it's a much greater risk financially, right? You're putting all of your eggs in these 5 baskets or 10 baskets, and then everybody, like all the big guys are also doing the same. And then you're competing for...
yeah, I get what you're saying. And here's my answer to that. Here's my answer. Because I've thought about this a lot, and I've looked up some numbers and stuff. Look, there are a lot of games that are considered big games that don't cost much to develop for. And these games do better sales-wise than some of these games that are smaller and more niche that Xbox has. Okay, take for instance, so we can, you guys can understand. South of Midnight was $100 million to make. Expedition 33 was $10 million to make. That's my point. You have a much bigger game in Expedition 33 compared to South of Midnight. And Expedition 33 sold way more and was played way more than South of Midnight. That's the comparison I'm making.
But do we know that it actually costs that much? Where did we get that number?
I saw it today online too. But
yeah, 100 million. That's where I just looked it up. It was 100 million. That's what they're saying online. I don't know.
They, right? And many people say things.
I don't know.
Because a lot of people just do this. You have 70 developers. They must cost you this amount of money. Therefore, it must be this. Like, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that's the actual developer.
Well, but you can deduce that from looking at how many developers they have at a studio and then averaging it by how much the average U.S. studio makes or Canadian studio makes in that regard.
Colt's number in the chat is from Jason Schreier. So
yeah,
Jason Schreier says the average studio developer makes $15,000 a month. I don't believe that.
No, it pays. No. It costs the company $15,000 a month.
Oh, per person. Oh, because of medical and all that stuff. Yeah. I could see
they're
that.
Canadian. There is no medical.
Oh no, he's talking about the studios here in the U.S. I think he's just talking about.
You
that.
can't use that number.
But you can't with Canada. I don't know what it is, and I haven't looked up what they make. But I'm just saying, like, you can kind of tell how much each studio is spending just on manpower alone, and then kind of work that up. But AI, that's what I used, and it told me it was 100 million to make that game. So there's that. And again, there's other examples too where there's games that cost less that do better than games that cost more that are more niche than the smaller budgeted games. And
well, I mean,
you
like
can
Ghost
do that.
Yote
you can have a bigger
was
game
like
without spending
or 60.
Yeah, Ghost of Yote was one of those that I looked up. It was like $60 million.
So then why do we think South of Midnight cost that much? So something must have gone wrong, right? Obviously, that budget should not be that
all
high.
that claymation. They went to Louisiana and spent all that time doing all of the
claymation was simply
they're out in Louisiana in the swamps and they're hanging out
and the music.
That was just
like all of the stuff they were doing.
The music,
shouldn't have cost that much. I mean, like a few million. Like how much can it possibly cost? But I don't know. That seems because the music, by the way, they did that in Expedition, and that budget was very low, and they literally had Game of the Year music, right? They were both pretty good, but Expedition was even a step higher than that, and it didn't have that high a budget. Something's weird. Something's off.
Okay, so in Canada, the average game dev makes between 86,000 to 117,000 Canadian.
Okay, so what's that, like 50 to 70, something like 50, 75, something like that?
Yeah.
50 to 80.
I don't know what they spent the budget on. I have no idea, but that's what the budget keeps coming up as. Well, I'm shocked that Expedition was only 10 million to make. That's really cheap. I'm also shocked that Ghost of Yote was only 60 million to make for a game of that scope. So it's just one of those things where big doesn't necessarily mean big budgeted. It just means compelling titles, better, titles that appeal to more people, to a broader audience. That's the big in those types of games. Because you could have a small independent game speak to a broad audience and it sells like gangbusters. I mean, we see a lot of that all the time going on with Steam, with smaller games and even Game Pass.
It looks
you had Pal World, you had,
a rough search just looks like it's like roughly 110 employees at Compulsion. Expedition 33 had what, 25?
30.
Or, it was like
like 30, something like that.
Yeah.
Something in that range, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but that's the thing. And of course, again, what she has to do too is reevaluate everything, including Game Pass, reevaluate day and dates, game sales, everything. Because I know, it's another hard truth that a lot of people don't like to understand, or at least believe me when I tell you it's changed consumer habits. They don't buy games because of subservices like Game Pass. There's a lot of people who just live in Game Pass, and that's fine. You pay that subscription fee. That's what it's there for. I'm not telling you to buy the game, but they're like complaining that nobody's buying games on their platform, yet they have a subservice giving you everything for a small monthly fee. So of course they're looking into that. And I know right now they've pushed on their showcase that, all these games going to Game Pass day one. Maybe they're thinking maybe we can grow Game Pass at the same time as our console. And if that's the case, great, grand, if they can get to the numbers they want to get to with all those day and dates. But what I think they're doing now with some of the smaller studios is they're saying, these really don't do anything for us, even within Game Pass. Let's just get rid of all this. We're paying a lot of money for all this. And I think maybe they're thinking it's not a big draw to the service.
But unfortunately, that won't be the end of it, because there's so many more that also just don't make enough money. So expect more of these studios to go. It's unfortunate, but this is just the erasure of the whole Phil era. But whatever. Like, I don't know. There's not much we can do about it. It is what it is, right?
Yeah. No. It's true. It's true. XViper93, thank you for the 10. He says, in my opinion, Xbox is getting ahead of the crash. 20 to 22 did way more damage. Overhired, overspent, overconsolidated, and overprojected. On top of the AI bubble that is crushing hardware profit equals survival. He's not wrong. He's right.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of people think that we're headed towards a video game crash again. And let me ask you, Holly, what do you think? Do you think we're heading towards a video game crash, or at least in this case, maybe a AAA crash? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to be in the same way it was before. I think we're looking at a reset, just like Asha calls it. And I'm not trying to even use the Xbox word. It's just there's a lot of stuff that's going on, right? And we've sort of hit this bubble where console growth is not really doing its thing, right? It's sort of been stagnant. And we have a lot of forever games, and we have very long production times, like you were talking about. So something has to give, right? Somewhere, because increasing budgets with decreasing profits is just not sustainable. So what you're seeing at Xbox, they're kind of the first pass or the first group, and it makes sense because every new CEO comes in and does a bunch of big stuff, right? They do a bunch of stuff, and she's doing her bunch of stuff, and Sony is going to get hit with layoffs soon. And not just Bungie. I think there's going to be other teams that also get hit. Maybe not closures per se in the same way, but I think we're going to see significant layoffs just kind of on the whole in Sony proper. And there's going to be other teams, right? Ubisoft has financial issues and others. So I think we're just going to see games change. I think we were seeing a really nice uprise in indies and AA's that are really good quality, and people are starting to recognize that a little bit more. And it's going to force the big guys to be a little more fluid and a little more open to
take more risks
in the way they
do
stuff. Yeah.
They have to start taking more risks. I think that's the problem with AAA right now, is that a lot of them aren't taking those risks. I think Pearl Abyss with Crimson Desert is a good example of trying to take some risks there. I know that they copied a bunch of different formulas from other games. I don't, try to dispute that at all. But what they've thrown together into that game and what they've done for the gamer and how they're listening to them, they've taken a lot of risk with that game, and they're doing a fantastic job with that game. I think more studios need to do more things and try to innovate in the same way even they are doing there with that game, or maybe like more like the smaller AA games that are coming out that are actually pushing innovation and stuff as well. But at the end of the day, like, I just think that we're not having a crash. I wouldn't call it a crash, Hargeet, but I would say that AAA right now is not in a good space, especially because we're seeing all these developers pushing for, the safe bet, the remakes and the sequels.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a reckoning. The problem is, like any industry grows, as it's small, it's fine. It gets, it's more of in a startup mode and just keeps trying new things. But eventually it gets to a point where it's big enough that it gets external investment. And when that happens, those investors want return. They're not looking to lose their money. And that's when things become very annoying, right? Because now you can't take those risks. You have to return a profit. You have to return, give a return on investment. And that's where they are now. They're the biggest, entertainment vector, period, right? Almost everything else combined doesn't add up to gaming. So when you're in that world, you're going to get big money. Big money brings big responsibility. And unfortunately, that takes away some of the quirky fun that we used to have, right? So it's all become very corporate and about profit-driven whatever, right? You're seeing a lot more of this. Did we ever care about this when it was Nintendo, Sega? What was the ROI on that game? Who gives a shit? You played the game. It just didn't matter. We don't care. It was just about the companies giving you quirky games that you like to play. That's it. But that has all changed now because it's now big money. It's big money, right? We're talking tens, hundreds of billions. There's no way around it. Like, this is big business, and now you're going to get big investment. You're going to get big responsibility. Everybody's eyes are on what what the industry is doing. Every little misstep is like over exaggerated. This is just the way it is, right? Nobody used to care if one game failed because there was the next game, and you just kept going. And that it was just a different world, right? Because your budgets weren't like it's 150 million, 350 million. They were like 2 million. Right. And you're like, okay, you can sustain that. Move on. So
that cuts into that quote from Sandy Peterson that I had sent you yesterday. That actually, Colt, I didn't even send it to Colton. He wound up
bring that up. Bring it up. What did you say about? What did he say there again? You can read it, Holly.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
He's not wrong.
Funny. He said so. Sandy Peterson was the designer in Doom and Quake and Call of Cthulhu, Age of Empires back in there. So he was talking about how on social media, people had been asking, how do we save Blizzard? How do we save Blizzard? Because Blizzard, he said, we don't need to save Blizzard. We didn't need to save Microsoft or id Software, Ensemble Studios, or Atari. We don't need to save any gaming company. If they die, they die. They'll be replaced with new, likely superior game companies. Gaming continues.
Yep. And that's facts.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Blizzard, by the way,
except for
is
Arcane.
not in any trouble. They're in pretty good shape.
Except for Arcane. She's not going to let that die.
I think Arcane is going to go, but Blizzard is kicking butt. They're doing well. So I don't see them. ABK is probably in the best shape of all these things because King just keeps printing money and Blizzard really does do pretty well. So, I don't see the issue there. And come on, Call of Duty, really? We're going to talk about Call of Duty. Come on. Billions made every freaking year. Like they're fine. There is Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, which do okay. They do reasonably well. And of course, Playground and Mojang, right? They are just going to keep printing money for them, so that's fine. They're in good shape. It's the rest you have to worry about because Halo did make money, but they shut it off. It's gone, right? They're not making any more content for it. So what's their lifeline? Do you really think that Campaign Evolved is going to be a seller? I don't expect that to sell. So okay, cool. You have this one game. What else you got? I was hoping they showed something here. They didn't. So they got to come up with something that says in the next couple of years you're going to be drawing in billions. I don't know what that is. Maybe they have something in the in the works. Maybe they don't.
Yeah, I'm going to get through these super chats really quickly here because I want to get to something that keeps being brought up. The Winter Soldier with the 5. Thank you very much. It says, I think Obsidian has a good lifeline due to Grounded's success, and most importantly, by being put to work on a new Fallout game. What do you guys think?
I disagree that Grounded is enough. Grounded is enough for that team. So Grounded is profitable because it's a very low cost to them, but that's not enough to sustain Obsidian. So if you want to, sustain Obsidian, they need to make something that makes money, because apparently that matters now. And if that matters, then their only lifeline is if they can somehow get a Fallout game. And
what might happen there is they might just trim some of the studio
down to Grounded's crew.
No. I mean, that's a possibility, right? I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but you never know.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is that if they give them the ability to make a Fallout game, and even if it's a side game like New Vegas was, fine. I think that's their rescue. The only problem is the expectation game will still stupidly be there, that they need to make a game that stuns the entire world. They're not going to. It's not going to happen. It's still Obsidian. And when that game comes out and doesn't do that, then Obsidian will be shut down. So...
Dap Ponit with a 10. Thank you very much. I think, is that what it is? Dap Ponit?
Dappa unit.
Dappa unit? Dappa unit?
I don't.
Okay. I don't know. Anyways, I thank you anyway. He says Xbox won't be successful because Microsoft is not geared towards entertainment. It's more focused on business, enterprise, and products. Xbox will only find success when they recruit entertainment execs. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think that, honestly, I will say this much. So from what I've seen from Asha so far in what she's trying to do, I think this would be the way, as a gamer, I think that they should go. And there's other gamers with me that think that she's doing the right stuff. I just think that her, and I've said it from the beginning, the task is so freaking tall for her to overcome. To bring, people to this console is tough. It's going to be a tough task, but it can be done with people that are outside the gaming, space, because there's a lot of CEOs that are in some of these gaming companies and publishing outfits that aren't gamers at all. Never were. Strauss Zelnick is one of those. Take-Two, huge. So I disagree. Segun, some of these names. Segun Kalawol, 4046. You're laughing, Holly. I don't know how to say it. I appreciate you though for the $1.99. Says Double Fine is not closing. They laughed it off. Okay. Not saying they're closing, but
they did put up an emoji, but it's an emoji of them smiling with like a sweat bead. So I don't know that it necessarily.
So when Jason Schreier actually says some of this stuff, and he has spoke on those 3 studios for sure. Holly, I'm not sure about Arcane with Jason, but I know he spoke on the other ones, and he said that they were told of potential spinoff or closure. They can look for other jobs. And it's Jason's assumption that they're going to shut down these studios when they end their fiscal year on June 30th. That's what he thinks. So, who knows? Okay. QL with the $5 says, I think Halo Studios should be shut down and give the game to their other FPS studios. They have several better studios. Yeah, they have id Tech. I think would be great.
I don't know how long id stays around either, by the way.
But yeah, who knows? Argeek's just like, everybody's going. They
have
all
to make
dying.
money, right? The target is make money. How much do they make?
No.
You're
not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And then Machine Games, I don't see that sticking around. These are all studios that are up in the air. I don't know how long they keep them.
And Lotus Esprit with the 10 that says, at that blue number can do no wrong. As usual.
There you go. Hey, Lotus.
Anytime you're here, he always has to say that. But yeah, guys, it's really crazy right now. I just think that I don't know how Asha is going to do this, or if it can be saved, or the console. but I don't want to be dire and pessimistic and say it's all doom and gloom. They're not going to make a comeback from this. Who knows? Like, they can go with just their top studios that are making them profits and freaking, subsidize the console even more for GTA, get more people on board with an Xbox, and get them to spend money there, because that's what it's about. It's the anchoring point, getting people over to that console. It can be done. I just don't know if it will be done. We have to see. I don't trust everything these executives say in any of these corporations. Sorry, I don't. And Hargeet doesn't either. With some people, like, I know they love to call you, the Xbox shill or fanboy, but at the end of the day, I know you're the same way as me. You don't trust these people 100%. You can't trust them 100%. Remember the Just 4 games? Same thing. Now that leads me to what so many people have brought up here, and I've got to mention it because it really rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm going to play you something, and I'm going to have you guys listen, and then I'm going to speak on this just a little bit, and then let the panel here speak, my co-host and Holly here speak on it, because I'll just let it play.
Just play it.
Why are you being allowed to reveal these things? Is that a member of Xbox leadership wants to have some clarity to the people because they deserve it. Public-facing executives will lie to your face. Example, Greenberg saying that Gears E-Day was never being worked on for PlayStation, or that it wasn't pulled last minute. Both are lies. Double Fine is working on a plan to become independent, which you guys obviously already knew about, and Ninja Theory has now failed its buyout and is closing down. Not sure if Senua will even release. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 leadership will be held accountable, and that team is being reduced. Halo Studios is not safe. The road to creating Infinite was filled with failed projects, overspending, and Infinite did not do well. It had huge players, but not enough monetizing potential to make up for losses for years. Gears of War E-Day is exclusive for now. Gears 2 Remake is still planned for multi-platform. I ask you all to remember that leadership said Starfield wasn't a timed exclusive either, but this time the PlayStation port is still being worked on so that if it needs launched, it can be released quickly and it won't have to be spun up from scratch. These referring to Gears E-Day. Helix is not releasing next year in 2027. That's not shocking to me. Helix is getting rescoped. The plans are not the plans that were including third-party stores. Exclusives that are being looked at are from under the Xbox Studios umbrella. They are not Bethesda or Activision games. The Starfield test failed, and that data showed us that game didn't work financially and hurt us too much. Elder Scrolls and Fallout are not currently planned for exclusivity. Halo is not going back to exclusivity, yet more data is needed before a final decision can be considered. Every time someone purchases an Xbox game on Steam, the data tells our leadership that the Xbox ecosystem is not good enough and games need to be multi-platform. He says, one more thing. Bethesda is not Xbox Studios because of the purchase agreement from the previous owner and the deal having certain terms on its independence unless it failed to meet certain financial obligations.
All right. That was from Mag last night on the XNC podcast. Here's the thing. I just want to say a few things. First of all, Mag, you're getting played. You're getting played by somebody who's pretending to be an insider. And I'm telling you right now, if this sounded real to you, I don't know what to tell you, but this sounds like a PlayStation fanboy's wet dream. This is what it sounds like to me. It sounds like some fanboy out there has got you bamboozled so hard into thinking that this is true. In what world would an Xbox executive, especially in the dire straits they're in now, especially with all the layoffs and stuff that are coming, would actually want this put out there to the masses when all it does is hurt the brand even more? Because all it does is tell people that are on the PlayStation side that, hey, Gears is still coming to you. All these games are still coming to you. Don't listen to these guys. And in what world would an exec at Xbox name people like Aaron Greenberg and basically call him a liar? And I'm somebody who doesn't believe in these execs like 100% either. But you got to look at what you're reading here and wonder, did I get played here? Because none of this sounds like it would come from somebody at Xbox at all. It's weird to me. And I know you said don't shoot the messenger and everything, but you relayed something that did nothing but upset people or hurt the brand, or this is something that should have been caught right away. You should have read this and immediately said, this is fake. This sounds like a PlayStation fanboy sending me nonsense. And I'm not saying none of this stuff could come true. Everything could come true in what this says. But in no world would an Xbox executive send this to you to make you put it out there on XNC, the biggest, like one of the biggest Xbox podcasts there is, for clarity's sake. There's no way that would be remotely true. This is, honestly, it's laughable to me. It's laughable that this was read on that podcast and it was like seriously read. It screams fake. It screams completely fake. Hargeet, what did you take away from this when you heard it?
Well, first I'll read this thing. We have a super chat that's from Sengunka Awale. I don't know how you say it. I'm sorry. Sengunkol Awale. I'll just say that. Matthew Ball said all this news is false. I think Colt also said that, right? So here we go. It'll never be allowed on my channel again. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm certainly not trying to go after Mag in any way. But like
no, it's not really going after Mag, but he's being played here. And I want to tell him you're being played.
Okay.
You were straight up being played by a PlayStation fanboy.
So just in case this is correct, that's Shagun Kolawale. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay. So is it possible that a lot of those things might be true? Sure. Yeah. Is it possible it's all bullshit? Sure. Sure. Going after. I kind of agree with you that it just seems odd that they would say, Aaron's a liar. Like, dude. Yeah. That, along with, you got to understand, because other execs want clarity brought to the people. It doesn't read like somebody would really write that at Xbox at all. Yeah, it also just doesn't seem like it would be like. Aaron's been there for like ever, dude. Like, would you really go after that dude? Like, seriously?
Yeah, why wouldn't he say Matthew Ball?
Like, okay, you could just say, hey, like, and you wouldn't. I just think even if it was somebody that said like this is not entirely accurate, that's what you would say. You would just say, hey, you know what? There's, this is what Aaron's been told, but there's actually another story behind it, and this is what's really happening, and this is what I've heard outside of that, right? I don't know. It just feels kind of weird. But look, I've heard other people like Ibarra really go after people too. So that is a possibility, right? So, but I don't know. It just seems a little weird. Things like this.
Maybe it's Ibarra. Maybe it's Ibarra.
Maybe it is Ibarra.
Who knows?
Right. But, and again, I don't know how much he knows from the inside. He probably has a lot of context still there, right? So
he has context for sure.
Yeah. And so I'm sure he gets inside skinny, right? But look, I don't know to what level all of that is true or false, or maybe partly true. Is there a port for PlayStation for Gears? They were probably working it until Asha came along and said, no, we're not doing that, right? So would I be surprised that there's a port for it ready to go or partially ready to go? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because that was the plan, right?
Same.
That was the plan. So, and until Asha came in and said, no, yeah, I'm not doing that. Just like the Halo thing. Right, that like, and I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently they had a trailer that was going to be for Halo on the State of Play several days before their own showcase, and that was greenlit. It was all the way there, and apparently it was pulled a month ago, right, or whatever, right? And it's like, well, okay, cool. That was Asha, and if they are, if that whole shift happened 6 weeks ago, are things kind of in place that were ready to go onto play? Yeah, of course they were ready to do the PlayStation stuff, right? So, but like everything changed. The plan's the plan until it's not the plan, right? So she decided I'm going a different direction. Fair enough, right? And at that point, whatever work you were doing, this happens. It happened to Starfield, right? There was the assumption of Starfield going to be fully exclusive was there until the entire plan of Xbox changed to say, no, everything's going everywhere, right? It was going to be exclusive. It was being worked on for PlayStation because originally it was Zenny on its own, right? Bethesda on its own making their game for everything. And then they said, no, we bought you. Now it's going to stay on Xbox only. Thank you very much. And so that's what happened. Was there a PlayStation port? Yes, because they were working on it, of course. Right. Eventually it did come out. Right. But and that was because of a whole shift in the entire strategy of Xbox. Right. So, OK, fair enough. These things happen. So is there some level of truth to some of these other things? Halo Studios, I was the one brought like, oh, maybe they should shut it down. Like,
yeah.
Kind of
for sure.
Like I don't know. Maybe there's some like.
But you know what it is? Exactly what Magnum is saying here. It was basically grabbing every bad Xbox news and rolling it into one fake email. That's exactly what it sounds like. Because all of this stuff, again, like I've prefaced this thing with saying that all of this stuff could come to fruition. Who knows? But what I am saying is this email is fake. I'm saying it's not real. It's not coming from somebody at Xbox.
And that's the part that is kind of weird about it, right? Is that you just hear potential fail after potential fail after. So okay. So you have this huge strategy shift. Where's the positive? Where's the positive?
Yeah, supposedly this Xbox Insider is just all about just throwing shit at the wall and whatever sticks.
What we saw up to the the current, like the last couple of days where the reset started. Even the Xbox devs were happier, right? Everything was getting better. Morale was getting better because they're like, oh, we're about our platform. Right? It's about Xbox. Cool, right? If that was the case, shouldn't there be more positivity about where things are going?
Yeah, really.
I don't know. It's just what I would expect, right? That like, hey, these are the goods and these are the bads. Okay, fair enough, right? But like, where's the list of good stuff? So I don't know, because we're hearing other things where she's looking to do third-party exclusives. Where's that in that peroration? Where's that? Like, because that's a pretty big decision, right? So if that was coming true, and this is coming from her, right? So it's like, okay, if that's coming from her, then maybe that's a direction they're going. Like, okay, where's that? Like, so it does seem a little off, but again, it may be totally accurate, and it may be that just this is one of those people that always looks at things glass half empty and looks for all the negatives. Fair enough. So I have no idea if it's all true or not. There's some, like you said, there's some air of reality to a lot of it. But it does seem like it's a bullet list of all the negatives and none of the, like, as an employee of the place, don't you see any positive for what you get? Right? It's your company, right? Do you not see what the positives are too? But okay, fair enough. I don't know. So I'm not gonna way into this because beyond that, because I don't know.
And there's another aspect of this I'm not going to say, but I know something about this particular person. I don't know who it is, but I know something that makes it completely fake. And Hargeet, I've told you and I've sworn you to secrecy. You know about it, and it makes it seem completely fabricated, right? If it's true, if it's what I told you is true, if what I told you is true, I'm not saying it, but you know damn well you were like, yeah, that doesn't sound right at all. So I'm just telling you guys, he's being bamboozled. I'm telling you that. Mag, you're being bamboozled. I will die on that hill. You're being completely bamboozled. Because I know more. I'm just not going to say it. Anyways, that's all I have to say about insider bullshit. You know, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's insider bullshit. That's what it is.
I know, Holly, you were there. So what did you think of this whole thing?
Look, I love Meg. He's just he's a firecracker and just a fun guy to hang out
He's
with.
a firecracker.
Right?
Isn't that special?
I don't know who this person is. I don't know his relationship with this person or how, like, his connection to them. They could be totally legit, but all I will say is, and like Hargeet said, there's no way is any of this an attack on Meg, because I do really like Meg, and I don't legitimately know what the true behind the scenes stuff is. I don't, but
yeah.
What I will say is, working for a company, I know, and especially like something like Microsoft, where I think it would be 10 times worse than just where I work, is that nobody in the company that I could think of would put in writing some of the things, even if it wasn't that somebody said, we want you to do this. I don't see some of those things being put in writing and being sent out to be read online on Colt's show. Colt has a very big channel. There was over 1,000 of us watching last night, and not expecting to lose your job immediately, right? Because they have ways of researching where these things came from, right? If this really was sent, they would know who sent it. They would find out who sent it, and you would lose your job. You might be sued. Who knows, right? So there's just the business side of some of that stuff that would be happening. And if these were the things that were wanted to be expressed to the public, it would have come through Asha, Matt, or Matt, right? The three. I believe. And so I guess it just goes back to, if Meg is confident, in who he's getting this stuff from, I guess it's just worth thinking back on who that person is, how you know them, did you vet them properly? And that's with anybody, right? Like,
facts.
When you have somebody tell you in your life, even just like your neighbor or whoever, right? And they tell you something, it's worth doing some research or talking to the person for a while and vetting who they are in your, and their consistency in their messaging, and if they are trustworthy or not, right? So I don't know. Maybe they are, but I just find that email a tough pill to swallow. And I saw somebody say, but if it was somebody who was laid off, the problem is, I don't think that the level of things that were talked about in it were things that somebody at definitely not at a studio would have known, right? These are all core Xbox ideas and thoughts and all of that stuff. And it would be very, very tight core, right? A lot of that stuff. So I don't think anybody got laid off except like Craig Duncan, right? And Louise O'Connor, but I don't see them burning their next job, right? Because that's the other thing. When you leave, you need to get a job somewhere else, right? So you have a reputation to maintain when you do that.
So I'll say this out of respect to people that have told me things. I'll just end this discussion about what Mag read and everything, and just say, Mag, stop with the insider stuff. Stop it. Cool it. It's not real. It's not real life. That's all. That's how I'm going to end it. Anyways, getting back to other news, because everybody wanted to hear about the secret emails, and it's bullshit. Anyways, so with that said, we got anything else to talk about besides? Oh, what do you think? So what do you think that Xbox should do How do you think that Asha could fix this whole thing, Hargeet? Like, what do you think she can do going forward?
God
What would
damn.
Hargeet do if he owned this Xbox studio?
Which Xbox?
Well, you did say
platform.
So,
The platform
you
or the
did say
studio?
well, the platform and
The platform. Okay.
everything that comes along with it, which is all the studios.
Yeah. Gosh. Oh man, this is a tough one because of just the world that they're in. There's a lot of hatred towards them. I actually love the idea of them spinning out as a wholly owned subsidiary and then just go do their own thing, right? And not be beholden to anything that is Microsoft. Like one of the things you don't like, right, is the crunch thing. Microsoft has a mandate not to do it. If they're subsidiary, they don't have that mandate anymore, right? They can just do whatever they need to do. So outside of that, since they are still part of Microsoft, the things I would do is go get up anything that would just continue to shore up your bottom line, right? ABK was a fantastic purchase for them because it just gave them tons of profit, right? And that has been subsidizing some of the other stuff. So I would certainly say, like, do something like that. And, you know, there are several options there that they could go look at. Outside of that, I mean, and by the way, if you think they're not going to buy anything, she's saying the word mergers and acquisitions. I'm just saying, right? She's saying those words now. So that means that something might be brewing. I'm just saying. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's a good point, because a lot of people are under the assumption that they won't spend any more money or lose any more money, but they will. They have to in order to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they will. And I think that what they're, you know, as sad as it is, I think she's trying to shed these to open it up for ones that will just keep bringing in money. And you know, those kind of games generally don't align with what I want, but maybe it works for their bottom line, right? So think of something like buying Epic and saying you own Unreal Engine, which she hates having to pay out to. She's already said it. She wants to use her own internal engines instead of having to pay for Unreal. But then you would just own Unreal, which just gives you a revenue stream on its own. And then you have this little game called Fortnite that just keeps on making money too. Not enough, apparently, but hey, it keeps on making money. Jeez. We heard that before, right? But that would be a big potential for them, right? They could go, it's private. They could go make that deal and you know, see if they can bring those in. You know, they'd also get the Epic Store. I don't know how valuable that is, but whatever, they'd get that. So could they do that? Sure. That's a potential. The other big one, and I know, again, it's just of zilch value for me, is Roblox. It's just too large to not look at. Again, it just sits there. The engagement levels are insane. You know, it's basically the game du jour outside of Minecraft for kids these days. So should they look at that? Yeah. And they already were, by the way. They were trying to buy them before too, but they wanted to go independent and do their own thing. Fine, whatever, right? So I think these are all interesting potentials. There's, you know, an option to look at something like Valve. But yeah, so outside of M&As, I don't know that there's a simple solution to this, right? The biggest problem they have is they want to make the console be something in a world where the consoles cost like way too much. I don't know how you make that work. So either you say, you know what, we as Microsoft are going to invest in our own fabrication plants to make our own processors, which they could at their scale. They have freaking data centers everywhere. It might behoove them to do so, right? Maybe that's a plan. If they decide to do something like that, they could then reduce the cost of making their console because they can insource their own parts, right? They don't have to then go out to market and get very expensive memory, very expensive storage, right? They could build their own APU and fabricate themselves. So that would be the answer. That's if Daddy Microsoft wants to say, hey, don't we buy a bunch of these things? Wouldn't it be better if we just made our own and we want to get into this business? That's up to them. I don't know if they want to do that or not. That's up to them. But that would be one thing I would push for, is say, why the hell don't we just do it ourselves? Then we're not beholden to somebody else, right? We don't have to set the price based on somebody else's price. We can just set it to what we think it's going to cost us, right? So That would be one way to leverage your massive behemouthness, which they don't generally do, unfortunately. So those are the things I would look at, because that console price has to come down. To your point of like, what should they do this holiday when you got two big games, two massive games, GTA,
COD?
current gen only, and COD, Modern Warfare 4, current gen only, first time. You've got, and one of them is your game. Is there something you can do with that to push your console? Say, you know what? Series S will be available at $200 with Modern Warfare, something ridiculous, and then advertise the hell out of it. I know it's a total loss. It's a total loss, but it increases your user base. And you have to look at it like that. Is this what you want? Do you want to increase your user base? Then make it so cheap that people are like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I'm buying it, right? I'm going to buy COD for, $70. I have to buy a new console. I pay an extra $100 and I got the game and the console. Yeah, let's go, right? People are going to jump at that. And if you say, no, you got to jump in at $700 plus 70, dude, like, they have that luxury right now. They have that luxury. They have that Series S. A lot of people just honestly don't care about the graphics. That's why they're still on the old gen. They don't care. They just want to play. That's it. They want access to play. If you can make that happen, it's gonna work. And I'm like, that's what they right now. The world is so crazy. A Switch 2 is gonna be $500. Like, seriously.
I'm going to say something crazy that you might not like hearing. I don't like hearing this either, but also cloud. They're going to be pushing more to cloud.
It's an option. It's there if somebody wants to do it. And you can play on your Xbox One. You can still play in the cloud, right? It'll still let you like bring up the game, and then you just say stream, and it'll play it. But that does require you to subscribe to Game Pass, right? So you'd have to get the cloud. I think any tier, so you'd even the lowest tier is fine. But yeah, so there's the things that they have to kind of look at, right? And the cloud thing, though it's there, I don't know how much that's penetrated into the world of gamers yet, and I don't know if it's going to, right? So we'll see. They can try to push that. They were trying to push that, and that messaging was not working. That was this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, that was not working. So I don't know how they would make that streaming thing be something that they can actually advertise appropriately. But fair enough, that is it is potentially a way to get there. The other thing, I think she's already doing it, which is partner Game Pass with somebody else, right? And I don't know why that wasn't already being looked at. I had come up with that idea like freaking at the beginning of Game Pass. Was like, why aren't you bundling this with like other streaming services? Like, go talk to WB and put it together with like HBO Max or something. Or if Netflix is willing to partner, right? Like it was almost impossible for me to see like Netflix, really, that they're like the market, they own it. They're not going to talk to you. But guess who is talking to them? So, gee, if you can bundle in freaking Game Pass with Netflix, like even if you get a small percent of that, that is a lot of subscribers for them. That's a lot of subscribers for them. And that's fantastic growth, right? So that's the kind of thing I would look at, is how do you just make the audience bigger, right? And, they want to get to that 100 million. One Netflix deal does that. It's so big. Netflix, was it like 300 million subscribers, something ridiculous? So, they're already at whatever 30, 40 million they have now. If they can bump it up to like 60 by just going into Netflix, holy crap, dude. Like, that's a huge jump, right? And then from there, it can hopefully advertise itself and say, hey, these are all the things you can play. And if you want to go even further, here's a higher tier for you and you can play more, right? So plenty of options there. Like, those are the things I would look at. I would do the opposite of what they're doing, which is shut down the studios. I think those studios just need to keep churning out content. And the intent of that content is to market Game Pass. But if you don't need the content, then I don't know, right? So the alternative is go find bigger games. But then those bigger games take longer to come out. So I think the content will start slowing down. That's going to be the problem with this new move. But the hardware, that I would focus on the hardware, which she's doing. I would focus on content, continuously growing Game Pass numbers by partnering. Those are good ideas. I also don't know about this whole the stores thing that people are talking about. I never expected the stores to be on Helix. I expected them to allow you to access your games. but not.
Yeah, that's something that we've been
Helix.
talking about for a while here, because I was under that assumption originally. I think that was like the original idea, but as it was coming to light, that we were being told. And again, that's another thing that was just like, yeah, like a duh moment in this email. Like, yeah, we've heard this already. So when it comes to light, he could say, "See, my guy knew that was going to happen." Like, it's that sort of thing. And we already been speculating this for a month now, longer.
Well, but we already have proof. It's not like you can go to the Xbox app on PC and buy games in other stores. It will just surface the games you own. And if you link your account, it'll be there. That's it. It's not going to let you buy. If you want to buy a game through the Game Pass app, right, you're still buying it in a Microsoft store. You're not buying it on Steam or Epic or anything like that. You'd have to go outside of that and go do it yourself. And if you do so, no problem. They'll show it to you. You own it, fair enough. They'll show it to you. And that's always what I thought was going to happen here. I didn't expect anything different. So, yeah, I mean, look, and you know, the 2027 versus 2028 with market dynamics, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. But if you ask me, I still think you should push for 2027 to beat PlayStation to the market. But I don't know what the cost is going to be. It's
yeah, and again, that's something we've been speculating on, right? Will it come in 2027? Like, you know, might not.
To be fair, I think that first year won't matter. Why? Because the people buying it are your hardcore fans, and they will pay anyway. I know that sounds bad, but they will pay anyways. Because if there is no equivalent on the other side, right? There's no PS6 to counter it. Then why do you just put it out at whatever makes sense for you from a fiscal perspective? Keep it under 1,000 if you can, right? And put it out. And then as the industry gets better and the PS6 comes out, you can reduce your price too, right? So, and you can just match whatever PlayStation does, right? Whatever they come out at, you can just match them. But for the beginning, at least you do the 360 thing, which is you're out and the PlayStation 6 isn't. That gives you the edge on every new game that wants to showcase itself. Right, every new game that wants to use new gen features, it's going to be on your box and not the other. Right, it's just, that exactly is what happened on the 360. You got Oblivion because PS3 just wasn't there. Right, you got Mass Effect, you got like BioShock, because PlayStation just wasn't there, and Mass Effect never even bothered with the first one. They made the second and third over there. Yeah, it's just this is the thing. It's like, okay, you've got the box. That's it. It's like you get the games. So. And I think that's what happened with Gears, right? Gears came out on Xbox because it was there already. And then they're like, oh, this is too big. We're not going to let you put it on PlayStation. So they just bought it, right? It's like...
Legendary BK1, he says Fonz is clueless. Elaborate, my friend. Let me know why I'm
okay.
Clueless. What am I clueless about? It's funny. Hargeet, you've been talking for like the last 5 minutes, and he just chimes in with Fonz is clueless. Anyways, you have a lot of good ideas there, Hargeet. I think one, of course, is you got to get that console cheaper for those two big titles coming this holiday. You have to. You'll get a lot of people that haven't upgraded. There's a lot of people who haven't upgraded from last gen. You'll get some of those people. You can freaking start, having them get on your ecosystem, buying on that ecosystem. But also, you have to get your studios to make games faster. You have to get them to make quality games faster. You have to make them, all these big franchises that they have, they just got to push these games out. Like, you've got Elder Scrolls, you've got Fallouts, you've got freaking Halo, you've got so many games they could push out. And we need to find a way to get them out faster. That's what Asha needs to do. Okay, I don't know what that entails, cracking the whip, whatnot. She's got to do something there to do that. And also, then they've got to create new IP as well.
Right, funds. Right. So maybe they take away these studios and they allocate those funds to, getting Elder Scrolls over the line, right, or to starting up the next Fallout, right. So maybe that's what they do, right. So. I don't know what the answer is going to be, but like that might be the reason she's doing this is like, I just want to allocate the funds to these bigger games that I think are going to have a return and are going to push my platform, right? Because they're big.
Exactly.
It also, by the way, hints towards if Elder Scrolls is what they really want to push out, Fallout is what they want to push out, that those are titles she's thinking might be things to bring people to the platform, aka exclusive. Now again, I'm not a fan of exclusives, but I'm just seeing the writing on the wall.
Hargeet,
I'm just seeing
I
the writing
like
on the
that.
wall.
I've been saying for a long time, Money Hat, and she's talking about doing that. She actually
I think
talks
she's
about
gonna
doing that in the
say,
next
"Nope,
100 days.
That's mine, and it ain't going there." So
yeah,
I
mean, you know what she
happening.
could possibly do? I don't know. Get a game that we haven't seen in a while called Judas, and make it exclusive for Xbox.
Yeah.
How about that? Like, a lot of people are excited for that
doesn't
game.
exist.
I know.
Yeah, Holly's upset because they're not showing that game. Hopefully, it's not canceled.
But look, there are other opportunities just like that, right? So, unfortunately, like they did that with Ninja Gaiden, but they also put it everywhere. But Ninja Gaiden 4 didn't do anything. But this Splinter Cell that's still in development, it has an association. Bring it over, right? Like just make that an exclusive, right? And even if it's windowed, a time windowed exclusive, right? Bring it over, right? There are other games like that they could look at. They had an opportunity to do it with another game, Persona. Imagine if Persona 6 was not only Game Pass but exclusive. That would have been a killer freaking announcement. But anyway,
yeah.
I think like all that stuff I think was already in place.
Well, it was it was shocking that that's going to day one in Game Pass. You know, that's shocking enough that it's going to day one in Game Pass. And honestly,
you probably thank Sarah for that. I think she got that done, right? Phil and Sarah got that done.
I know I've been saying that they need to, and they will reevaluate Game Pass and the day and dates and all that. But at the same time, if they can grow Game Pass with console sales, I don't think they would have much problem there. It's a matter of if they can get that done, and if they're going to get the sales they want, not that they need, that they want for these games, because they're still going to have these games available on Steam, but again, they only get a certain percentage there. I want them to go to their app completely at some point, but they have to fix their app. That's a long ways down the road.
Because there's a lot of work. You want to see the Money Hat?
Games like I said, like Judas is one of those games that I know a lot of people are waiting for. It's one of those games that they could potentially Money Hat. Just any, I'd have to look at a list of games that are upcoming, but any big game that could possibly bring people over to their platform.
There's another game.
Again, I'm not an Xbox guy per se, but I want to see their console continue on. I want to see them thrive, because Sony needs that competition. They need it, because without Xbox console there, you're going to have one console to rule them all, basically. Yeah, you'll have the Switch, but they're in their own freaking world, okay? Basically, everything Sony does, they will basically dictate the market. The console market. They'll dictate everything there. How much things cost, what you're going to pay for online, everything in that space. And I think that is a bad move. So I want to see the console thrive for that. And also it pushes them to make better games as well, if they have actual competition. Because right now, this generation, hate to say it, PlayStation guys, but as somebody who likes PlayStation games, they've failed me this generation so far. I've played a handful of games that I've really liked, but not many, because they're just not producing what I want. They've had a lot of remasters, remakes, and sequels that just didn't add up to the originals, in my opinion. So
a couple of games that come to mind, right? So one that has an association already, which is Tomb Raider, right? We have the remake, whatever, that's fine. But there's a new Tomb Raider coming. They did that before. Phil got lambasted. But that could be another one, right? You could say, hey, you know what? Let's partner up. In Amazon, I think, is the one who publishes that. Maybe they could work with them to figure that out. And then, the other one is the one that got this nice thunderous roar when we found out it was still alive. Last Ronin. Get that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin.
I would love, Money Hat it.
That would be so cool. Money Hat that thing.
PlayStation does it all the time. Have the same playbook.
And just tit for tat, right? There's another Hogwarts coming. Go get some exclusive content on the Xbox side this time and see how that works.
Exactly. That's the kind of game she needs to play, honestly. Holly, do you have anything to add? What do you think she can do to, right the ship, so to speak?
Well, what I think would be the smart play is, every year around this time we keep seeing layoffs, right? And then people get upset or whatever happens. And honestly, I think the smart play and what I think she might actually be doing is we're gutting everything now. We're doing it one time. I don't want to do this next year. I don't want to do this in 18 months. Maybe, 2-3 years down the road after they've got some momentum going and they know like they maybe have rehired a bit or whatever, right? And they still need to cut. But I think massive cut right now, and that's it, right? Like get that bad PR out of your next cycle. The other thing, honestly, is that we are coming up on the first COD and also GTA and something else. I don't remember what the other one was that is not on previous gen, right? This gen only.
I think it's either Madden or FIFA or one of those, whatever. I think it's Madden.
Yeah. Which is also the big audience, right? The super based move, if you want to move consoles, is you make that green 25th anniversary, which comes out 2 weeks before, 11 days or something like that before, something like that before GTA. You get a bunch of those out there. A lot of people remember the green Xbox, right? And you make them cheap. You make them very cheap and you make them very available. And you put up a big marketing campaign for it because all of those people, and even before Call of Duty, right, have the marketing campaign that because it's 2.5 weeks after Call of Duty, something like that, right? You just have a ton of stock ready for the fall, which I know is difficult. I'm just saying in a perfect world, right? But you would have a lot of just the plain black console and that limited edition available for pre-order in like early October and have it ready to go, subsidize it, make it cheap so that when you're looking at a $750 or $800 PlayStation versus $450, $500 Xbox, something like that, right?
Yeah.
It just makes it a financial proposition that people might not necessarily be happy about, but it's the smart choice, right?
Yes. Facts. And they want to play GTA. They want to play that new COD. So they're going
and
to
you put Game Pass in it, right? Like you put a little Game Pass in it for whatever, just to get them on the...
Yeah, and that's the way it would be because honestly, I mean, I've been told personally for a long time now. A lot of people have hit me up in the past when I started talking about how these consoles were getting expensive. They said $600 was their limit. That was like the average. That was the limit. If you can get down to like $545 for a Series X or even $500, that would be the sweet spot. $500. They can get it to 500.
That's what I'm saying.
That would sell.
If you want those people to buy your box and then all of the games after that, you really have to cut it so that people feel like it's financially not viable to buy the PlayStation, even if you kind of want the PlayStation more, right?
Yeah. No, that's all true. I'm in
and don't you
with
think the PlayStation's going to do that anyway? I think they're going to cut it. I think they're going to go in and have a.
It's going to be
holiday.
They might do a sale, but they're not going to go.
Here's the thing,
again.
Hargeet. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think. Well, I know Microsoft has the money to spend on Xbox to create this, idea we have here of a much cheaper box, regardless of their little sale. They can do it. Sony cannot do it. They can't afford that. They can't afford a big, steep freaking price cut. on a box. And the idea is, I know a lot of people go, well, that's crazy though. They'll lose so much money. Yeah. But if they gain enough people on that console to continue to buy on that console, again, like a lot of other, they'll make it up on the back end later through other purchases, other games, DLCs, microtransactions, all that stuff.
And for those who think that it can't happen, they've been doing this right now. If you have an Xbox One, they've been giving you a deal for you where you can get the Series X for $300. Mm-hmm. So that's been happening, right? Well, so it is possible that they can do this. They just have to work it and make sure it's available for those who want to buy it.
Two other things too. We know that the Klarna thing popped up somewhere. You got to have that out there. Even if it's $400 or $500, you got to have that option. Do the Game Pass tie-in or just the box, have both options available. And then I love the console, but I think that you do just have to quietly sunset the S and drop the parity clause at some point in the next, year or two. After it's had, like, when the Helix comes out, then you drop the parity.
I know it's not going to happen. I'm with you, Holly, but I don't think it's happening. Yeah.
If it's coming out for Xbox Series, it is 100% coming out for the Series S. There's no way around that.
I don't know. New leadership, and if you have the Helix coming out at the same time, I think there is a possibility to just go ahead and do that. That would be such a massive
rake step, because like half the player base is on a Series S, and you would tell them F off. Like, it's not possible.
You're not saying F off. You're just dropping the parity. It's different. It's not the same thing.
No, that's basically.
I appreciate you, Charlie.
It's not going to happen. The Series S is going to be around for another decade, and the Series S, by the way, is more powerful than a Switch 2. It's more powerful than a Switch 2. So why should they bother? Switch 2 is getting all these games.
So Moby with $5 says, I thought the end goal was to stream the Xbox app on every TV with Game Pass and only need a controller. What happened to that? I don't think that was necessarily an end goal for them, but I think that was something that was talked about, right? Possibly having, Game Pass without hardware, just in the TV, being able to access it that way. I don't know, Hargeet, do you know anything about that?
About just going streaming?
Ugh. No, not just going streaming. That's not the end game. But they have TVs that have Game Pass right now? I have no idea.
Yeah. You can buy several new TVs that have that. Okay. So here's the problem, though, right? Like, you would have to have a TV that's pretty darn cheap that would have that, because otherwise you'd be able to afford a bloody console, right?
Exactly.
So the economics of that just never made sense to me. If I'm buying a $3,000 TV, I can buy the console. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it was $1,000 TV, you know what I'm saying? Like $800.
When I have enough disposable income to buy it, like I'll buy the console. Exactly. So it would have to be like it's a $150 TV and it includes the capability, but I don't know how many $150 TVs would have that tech in it.
People don't always want a box under their TV, though, or they have kids and they don't want to have the hardware sitting there. They would just rather do that for their kid. Like, there are applications for that TV.
Yeah. I don't even know how to say this. QL with a 5. Thank you very much. Says,
you guys are really doing a good job screwing with fonts.
Yeah. I think you got 2 SKUs of Helix. One that is subsidized with only Xbox Store, and one you pay full price that lets you use all stores. I don't think the all stores is happening. I think the all store thing is basically all your games from the other storefronts will be curated on the Xbox app on Helix. That's the way it's going to be. That's my understanding. It's just like it is on PC now, where you can go to the Xbox app and have, all your games there from the other apps as well. I want to make one thing clear, though. We're talking about this stuff because it's very doom and gloom when it comes to studio shutdowns, of course, or spin-offs, whatever you want to call it. There's layoffs coming, major layoffs. I know, Mo, you keep saying in the chat, nothing's confirmed. When Jason Schreier says something, it's pretty much confirmed. And at the end of their fiscal year, which is July 30th, going into July, you're going to see massive layoffs across all of Microsoft. Huge. It's not just Xbox division. And what I want to say about the Xbox itself, I don't want to act like, oh my God, Xbox is dead. That's not what we're saying. That's not, at least we aren't here, because they're not dead. I think Asha is trying to do stuff to help fix what has been screwed up for so long in this brand. But it's not dead. Not yet. but I think they're really, like, the layoffs stuff, that stuff was already going to happen. We knew about this back in November. I told you guys this last week. Like, we heard about this coming in July. At first, they were saying it was January. Then they moved it to July. But in any case, it was something that was going to happen anyway. And when Asha came out and started talking about the hard truths and stuff, this is what she was talking about. To help build back up the brand, they've got to do a lot of cuts. They've got to do a lot of things to change the brand for the better. And I think in the end, we got to watch and see how it plays out. I don't trust executives 100%, but we have to give Asha a shot and see what she can do with the brand and see what happens. Again, you can't hang on every word they say. It's all about their actions. So we'll see what they do going forward after all of these layoffs and stuff. Like, I things are going to be constantly changing, I think, Hargeet, right? Yeah, we'll constantly see little changes until it gets better.
I think with Asha, you're just going to constantly see changes. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. But that's really all I have to say today. I don't know if you guys have anything to add, but if you don't have anything to add, Hargeet, was there something else?
Well, there was plenty of other stuff. So I've missed a whole week. I don't know if you even talked about the Nintendo show, but there was a Nintendo show.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and we get Ocarina of Time. That's the only thing I like about it.
But what did you think of the show overall?
Crap.
Crap. Wow. Okay. No, I thought it was.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
I gave it an 8.
Here's the thing, Hargeet. There was a lot of stuff there that we've already seen on other platforms and like a lot of older multi-plat titles. So cool for Nintendo Switch 2 fans, for sure. But I don't own a Nintendo Switch 2, so I wasn't that hype, except for Ocarina of Time. That's like the one game like that could pull me to a Switch 2. And here's the here's the problem with that. I know of ways of playing that outside of the Switch 2, and I'll end up doing that.
Yeah, so but if you're a Nintendo fan, there were all a bunch of Nintendo games as well, right, from Nintendo first party. So I thought it was overall pretty good. Mm-hmm. So like now that we've had all of the platforms kind of give us a showcase, I gave Sony the lowest, but I still thought it was good. And then Nintendo, then Summer Game Fest, and then Xbox. Though the Xbox one might slip down depending on how many lies there were in that that showcase. Oh, man.
I gave that the showcase a 9, by the way. The Xbox it was a 9
Xbox one, yeah. So, but I
really enjoyed it. Yeah, so, I mean, Senua. I don't know if that'll come out now. If this is all,
I think that's dead. I think it's dead.
Yeah, that's sad.
I think it's dead
because it was the one Hellblade game that looked like it had action, and I was like, yes.
I'm teetering on whether State of Decay comes out, and if Undead Labs sticks around. We'll see. We'll see.
Don't say that.
Well, I'm sorry, but there's just a reality.
But you're not wrong. Labs, I mean, who knows?
So,
but
either way. But yeah, I thought that was pretty good. And then we got some of the future looking stuff as far as the reset, right? And then we got the Matthew Ball interview. I don't know if you watched that or not, but there was a lot of stuff going on, right? And then of course the studio stuff came out, but there was the whole spinning out thing. That could be an interesting thing. I don't know what did you guys think about that?
Well, about what? I'm sorry, it was
About
responding to
Xbox
somebody.
spinning out.
About them spinning out. How would that work exactly? And what would that... Yeah, how does that work?
So essentially, instead of you being a division within a company, they just like basically structure you outside of you. Just think of how like Warner Brothers, right? They were part of the hell was they were, who the hell owned them? I'm trying to remember what it was. Some big company owned them, and they're like, "This is too much of a boondoggle. We're just going to take the debt away from us." I can't even remember who owned them, but they just restructured them and said, "We're going to give you an IPO of your own. You're going to basically become your own company, and you're merging with Discovery, and they will own this whole thing with a debt structure back to us, right? So we will take a whole bunch of stock from you, but you will be your own company." In this case, they would just make them another company and say, we'll own the entirety of the stock. We'll be on the board, right? And so just remember like the Bungie thing where they kind of acquired Bungie and said, hey, but Bungie, you're kind of on your own. We have one seat on the board and you guys have 2 seats on the board. And if you F up, then we'll swap it and become 2 seats
they had
in 1
stipulation
seat,
there,
right? So, but they were kind of on their own. So they don't have to do all the stuff that Sony does or PlayStation does. PlayStation, by the way, already did this. PlayStation was spun out and it became its own company, headquartered in California. So Sony already did this to PlayStation like in 2016, right? So they've been a subsidiary of their wholly owned subsidiary of Sony, and so what it does is it takes away corporate whatever, right? So all the legal rigmarole, all the red tape processes they have to go through, they up the chain to Satya and Amy and all that goes away. What ends up happening is somebody from Microsoft is on the board and tells the chairman of the board, who will be the CEO, right? Obviously, they'll be reporting as the chairman, and they have to follow whatever the guidelines are of what they should do. But that's it. Ultimately, the chairman goes and does whatever they want, and that's that. They run the company, right? The board has the option to say, I have no confidence in you, and therefore they're going to replace you. That's an option, right? But outside of that, they just basically run the company on their own, have their own set of legal things, own set of HR things, own set of whatever they want. So they're not beholden to corporate. So like I was saying before, like they could say, well, Microsoft doesn't like crunch, but I do. So crunch is on.
Yeah, no,
right?
for sure.
So
so
that's one of the things they could just change, right? One of the things that frustrated me, like the whole process of getting the invites out for FanFest. That literally was because of corporate Microsoft saying, thou shalt do these 200 things before you can do this. Whereas normally you just go freaking do it, right? But Microsoft has a legal structure that requires all these steps must be met, right? To do anything you want to do. So all that just gets thrown out the window. You can take it if you want to. You can say, hey, can you tell me what you guys do? Maybe I'll follow that too.
Yeah. Like Mongoose said, it's kind of like,
I'm just doing this.
It would be kind of like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is
exactly
a spinoff.
And so they could just do it. So they're still a fully owned Microsoft property. It's still Microsoft. However, all the legal rigmarole, all the red tape just kind of goes away. And you can then function as you really need to do independently and work your way that way. The other things they can do is say, we'll own 70% of the stock and leave the 30% out for the market. So if somebody else wants to invest, they can, and that brings an influx of cash. Right. So that's another potential thing to do. There's always there's ways to do it. Or they could say, no, we want to wholly own you. It's fine. But we want you to just act independently. Right. We'll come and check with you every quarter or so, see what's going on, and then make board level decisions. But that's it. Right. We're not going to sit there and micromanage you and say you have to meet these.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Go do your thing.
I honestly think that would behoove them more than
I kind of like it. Because it's been the headache, right? We're like, well, you're telling them they have to meet these targets and they have to meet these. They'll just give you an amount that seems reasonable for that kind of business, right? It's not gonna be 30% target stuff. That goes away. It becomes a company that's responsible to make sure that
they're not underneath Satya.
Yeah, they're not.
They have their own leadership.
And Satya could still be one of the board members. That's still a potential, right? But again, it's not the dictates of. It's going to be like the board decides, okay, this is kind of the general direction. Go here, but you run this. Asha, you run this. It's yours. Go do what you need to do to make this a workable thing. The good parts of that is, Microsoft has become way too enterprise focused, and they need a consumer focus. And so this company needs to be agile and respond to the consumer needs in a way that Microsoft tends to just not be as agile in doing. And if you can just be independent, that's a good thing, because then Asha, because she does this, right? She literally
and honestly, it may be
respond, right? That's what you need to do. And no red tape.
And maybe that's something they would need to do in order to fix certain things that we've been complaining about forever, like the PC app. Maybe they can do that, not underneath Microsoft in that regard. Like, actually push, whatever they need to do, whatever they need to get out, get it all done without having to jump through hoops with Microsoft first. I think that might work. Holly, what do you think about that if they spun off of Microsoft?
I have no idea what it really actually means. I mean, with I don't know business like that. Like, I don't proclaim to.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but I know everything comes with consequences, right? So
for sure,
while all of that might sound good, like, what are the consequences, or what are the ties that they have to the corporate structure financially, or just space wise, or working with other teams at Microsoft proper, right, to develop things, and can that continue? Can it not continue? There are just things like that I'm like, I have no idea how that works, and that seems very complex, and it wouldn't just be this thing that you could get done in 6 months or whatever, right?
I don't think this would happen probably for years. I think it's a good thing to look at as a long-term potential, but I think right now they're just going to keep things the way they are. But to the point of how do they work on Windows, right? Because the PC app and all that does not change, by the way. Like, how they work with that is they would still be fine. So, for instance, LinkedIn is plugged into Dynamics, which is their CRM, right? So does that mean that they have to be fully consumed in? No, they just partner and make that work. It doesn't matter, right? So for those who don't know, Dynamics is a CRM tool that Microsoft puts out, right? So they do that already, right? There's LinkedIn built into Office 365, right? So all that stuff is just basically they just coordinate and say, hey, these features we think should be put together, and go ahead and make that happen. And they're not going to take DirectX away. Like, obviously, that's still the basic engine of gaming on Windows. They're going to continue with that. So they would just partner up on that piece, right? So I don't think that really changes much. Ultimately, they're still owned by Microsoft. It's not going to stop that work.
Yeah, I see that, but like Holly, I'm not too sure on the intricacies of that side of the business and how spinoffs work in that regard. But at the end of the day, I know that I don't know. I just want to see what's better, or I want what's best for Xbox going forward, and if that's not directly underneath Microsoft, I think that would be probably a good thing in some ways. But like some other people were saying in the chat, they were like, well, how would they fix the PC app without Microsoft? I'm sure they would be able to fix the PC app. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. It's been so long since we've been complaining about it. Game Bar is still a freaking nightmare. Just getting into party chats.
It's bad on Xbox now too. It's doing the same stuff. I was playing on Xbox the other night, and it was doing the same stuff where you couldn't connect to people that it does on Windows.
That's so weird. And I wonder if it's because that they've been messing around with stuff behind the scenes.
I think they're trying to integrate
and
it.
Stuff. Yeah. I think it's just, geez, I don't know. But that said, like, Hargeet, I really want to make it like clear, because there's one thing that I've changed my mind on in the past week. And I want to just say that I apologize to a lot of guys out there who have stated this for a long time now, and I just refused to see it because I was like, nah, there's no way, this is not happening. There is truly an Xbox tax. There is an Xbox tax. I used to say there wasn't, but just seeing how the media immediately jumps onto anything negative that comes out of the Xbox camp, it's kind of gross. And it's not even the negative stuff. It's even the positive stuff. They after the showcase, when they made 2 games exclusive, they tried to twist it into a negative and go, my God, why are they doing that? It's so confusing now. I look, just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it's not right. How can one company be right in having exclusives and another company not? Like, the hypocrisy, make it make sense to me. And I'm not an Xbox guy, but I'm sitting there reading some of these articles going, why are you pissed about this? Why is this man writing in this way against Xbox when all they're trying to do is right the ship?
Even
and they're doing
Polygon
stuff that
today.
the other people are doing.
Polygon
Other
was
studio,
today.
other companies. It's weird to me, Holly.
Polygon really stepped in the mud today. I don't know if you saw that. A lot of people were taking severe hits at Polygon today. Did you see that? The headline for their latest article. I didn't open it. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. I didn't read it.
Oh, is that right? So somebody said, "Oh no, it's Alex finally admitted to."
He did,
to I
Saturday.
assume that's Xbox tax.
Yeah, he did.
I'm sorry, but anything Xbox does, it's weird, whether it be positive or negative. And they're framing this whole thing with Xbox, and it is bad with Xbox. Don't get me wrong, okay? They have a lot to overcome. But at the same time, to pretend like some of these problems, some of the biggest hurdles that Asha has, isn't an industry-wide problem, is asinine. It's insanity. It doesn't make sense to me.
Polygon's article was titled, Microsoft should sell Xbox before it ruins everything. And they have a picture of Senua as the cover.
There you go. There you go. Before they ruin everything, before they don't give you a game you don't even fucking play. Shut up, Polygon. Shut up. It's so bad because on one hand, these and you know what? You know who's not immune to this either? All the influencers and stuff out there. All the freaking grifters out there on YouTube that love to talk about the negativity in the gaming industry. You guys are just the same, because now that so for months, for years, they've been talking against all these smaller games that Xbox has been making, calling them mid, calling them woke, calling them trash. Now that they're getting rid of these studios, oh my God, the humanity! How could they do this to these studios? Oh, those poor studios! Like, come on, make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Negative. Ding.
Oh, what's this?
This is this is Alinea Analytics again. Alinea, I don't know how much to trust them, but these are the PlayStation 5 sales so far of these first party titles. These are
I
the
thought
numbers
Ghost of Yote sold more than that. No,
that's what they're showing, and this was June, so a few days back.
I thought it sold. Weird.
So these are the numbers. Them's the numbers. God of War selling tons and tons of copies.
Oh,
man.
You're right. It's 4.8 million copies right now.
Yeah.
So, which is not terrible.
That's pretty good. That's not bad. That's pretty good.
It's good.
Especially, that was a $50-60 million budget, right? So that's pretty good.
Okay, so Death Stranding 2, not so hot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much it costs to make, but yeah, it'd be nice if it made more.
Yeah,
But
you got to
that's
take
already
these
all
numbers with a grain
PC.
of salt again, you know. But
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
they're.
always like, I don't know.
I'm sure they
Yeah.
hover around this though. I think it's
Yeah.
close, but still, I mean, games aren't selling as much as they used to anyway because, well, the price for one, the $70 price point really hurt the gaming industry. That really hurt. And then, of course, now we have the stagnation of console sales, and so you don't have new adopters and then buying the new games as well. They're not there. So a lot of people are waiting for sales. And then I hate to just say this, but you know, maybe even on the PlayStation side, the sub service kind of, you know, hurts them to a certain degree because I'm sure some people might just say, I'll wait for the games to hit this service. You know, even if it takes a year, 2 years, I'll wait. Who knows? But there's a lot of games that have been played.
This is just breaking from Steven Totillo. Xbox revealed Ninja Theory's Senua title was at their showcase in hopes that investors would be interested in purchasing the studio before they shut it down. That's why they showed it.
Wow.
To give them kind of a commercial. And I did see that it said today, because people were contemplating like how hard it would be for Ninja Theory to be sold because Hellblade is a Microsoft IP, and then the technology for the mocap was funded and theirs, you know, Xbox's, but they were saying today that they are willing to package like give that to go with Ninja Theory to someone if the price is right.
Here's the thing, though. Where was the transparency on that? If they were just going to do this a week after, like, what was the point in showing the showcase in the way that they did, rather than just say, "Hey, this is happening," and then, you know, I don't know. It's just weird to me that it's just like we're finding all this stuff out, and it's what, almost 2 weeks out. That's not that long after the showcase. What? Why? That's crazy.
I mean, if you know you're going to close somebody, the longer you keep them, the more you're spending on something that is essentially a dead IP or a, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah. The chat wants you to show the Xbox game sales, Hargeet, if you can pull that up.
Why does it matter? They have Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like, why do I care?
It matters to Xbox. It matters to Xbox, apparently.
Yeah, whatever.
But they're Steam. They have their games on Steam as well.
Sure.
The only thing that sold really well, guys, is Forza Horizon 6. I'll tell you that. That's the only one that sold really well. Outside of that,
Call of Duty still sold pretty well.
You got Game Pass. Oh, yeah, Call of Duty, but that's not in Game Pass anymore, or not going to be in Game Pass anymore. Yeah, Call of Duty and Forza Horizon 6. But you see, they have titles, though. If they made them exclusive to their box, they are definitely console sellers. That's one thing I've been trying to stress to you guys. Like, they have tentpole titles that will sell their box, and people refuse to believe it, but they're there because even with Game Pass, those games sell. And
we'll see
I'm
what
sure
happens,
they would
right?
sell their box. Anyways, but yeah, you have anything else?
Are there other topics? This has been the big news, of course. We had other things of like potential Fallout and Elder Scrolls being exclusives, but I guess we kind of already talked about that.
Yeah.
The Halo thing where they pulled it from their state of play, which we also kind of talked about that too. The Matthew Ball interview. I don't know if you watched that or not.
Yeah, I did. The Matthew Ball interview with what's his name? With the eye.
Christopher Dring, I think it was.
Chris Dring.
Yeah, that's Christopher Dring. Yeah.
What, Ollie? That's how I remember him. Leave me alone.
Say the quiet part out loud.
Are you sure,
there's
DJ
nothing
Marsh?
wrong with
Because I'm
him.
pretty
He's a
sure
nice
that
guy.
like Call of Duty outsold anything that PlayStation's put out. I'm pretty sure that's true, but I could be wrong. Did anything they put out actually outsell Call of Duty?
In any year or last year specifically?
Even last year. I don't know if that's true.
I think Call of Duty always outsells.
Yeah, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. The Xbox chart's gonna look really
Well,
good. 'Cause,
didn't
they also
Forza
have that
didn't
weird
Forza
game called
Horizon
Minecraft.
6 sell? Forza
Yeah,
Horizon
it did.
6 sold 6.4 million.
Yeah, so there you go. That's
So-
more than Ghost, right? There's also the fact that they own one of the top 2 games in sales all time in Minecraft. So
QL with the 5 says, if you push big enough titles as exclusives, eventually you'll reach a breaking point where people will have no choice but to buy the system. Facts. 100%. This is something that Sony even knows, and that's why they money hat. That's why they sell, they money hat games and make them exclusive to their box outside of their first party studios. They do it every year. This is what helps them because their studios can't produce that many games in a year. They usually do what, 1 or 2 games a year on average? Average is like 1 or 2, I think. But yeah, so they do it all the time. So if Xbox does more of that, if they have their own compelling titles that have system sellers, if they make those exclusive to their box, they'll sell. You've got GTA 6 that's not exclusive, but if you make your box cheaper and get all those people to get into this gen going into next, because let's face it, the PS5s, the Series X's, they're going to be their next gen as well, because that will be their entry-level box going in. I don't think there's going to be more than one Helix SKU. I think it's going to be the Helix and then the Series X and S. That's what I think going forward. And as for the OEMs and stuff, I don't know. That remains to be seen. The plan was the plan until it wasn't. So that remains to be seen. Wow,
some of these PlayStation fans are really butthurt about these numbers. My goodness. Like, why is there so into Xbox sales? Oh my God. Okay, guys, geez. Maybe you just go buy your games. I don't know.
Look, clean
Seriously.
6.4 million with Forza Horizon. COD sold a lot, a buttload. Everything else, not so much. It was all underneath the
Minecraft
Game
still
Pass
continues to
umbrella.
sell.
Most of their smaller titles, which is why we're talking about that today, with their little studios possibly closing, is they were just on life support and Game Pass. It is what it is. We'll see what happens going forward. But I had a great time today with my good friends here, Hargeet, Chunny, and of course, Holly, that blue number. Holly, let everybody know where they can find you next. And when are you going to start making your videos? Like me and Zucker tried to tell you the other day.
I know. I started one this weekend,
Okay,
and
good.
I just need a little bit of time to get it put together. So fingers
Nice.
crossed by the end of the week, I'll have a video on Exodus, the game that I am probably going to cover a lot this year because it's coming out early next year. And everybody kind of forgot about the Future Game Show, which was hosted by Troy Baker. And the person, I don't remember her name, she was lovely. She is the new voice of Lara Croft. And in the new, So anyway, they hosted the show and everybody kind of forgot about it. It was on Saturday. And they had a deep dive on Exodus. So I'm going to do a synopsis of what was shown there and kind of break things down a little bit. And so hopefully by end of the week, I'll have that one out. And then I'm going to start live streaming GTA 5 very soon.
By the way, her name was Alex Wilton Regan.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. She's got a great voice, by the way. Great voice.
She does. She's British.
So does he. Honestly, Troy Baker's in everything. Well, yeah. Just a fantastic freaking voice actor. Amazing. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Holly. Hargeet, where can they find you next?
Hopefully on tomorrow with Boom at 7 p.m. And the only reason hopefully is because I actually have some like after hours work to do, and hopefully it doesn't go too far.
I heard that Xbox closed down Boom show. There's no more show for Boom. They
no more
closed
Boom
him.
show.
He's done.
Oh, poor Boom.
No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so hopefully I'll be on tomorrow with Boom at 7 p.m. on Double Barrel Gaming, and then with Seamoney and Doodle on Friday at 8 p.m. on Point for Gamers, and then with Web Dave on Sunday at 7 p.m. US Eastern. Check those out, and we'll be back here next Tuesday to find out what else is broken in the industry and who's also dying. And
yeah. Oh, the media will have you believe it's all Xbox's fault, no matter what it is.
I mean, didn't Ubisoft just like close some stuff too and lay off some people? I mean, it's just happening. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's going to be a layoffs from other studios and publishers and stuff this summer. It's not just Xbox, but it is what it is. Anyways, thank you guys for being on, and thank you guys for listening today. I had a show high. That we haven't had in quite some time. We had like 270 people
300
or something
at one time.
Yeah, wow. I'm surprised. I haven't had that in a while. Big news. That's what brings them. And I will have another video towards the end of the week. I'm going to talk more about this situation with Xbox, give more of my thoughts, read more into the stuff, because I'm sure more stuff will be coming out. But I'm going to start producing a video every week again. I want to throw out a video, because kind of tired of not seeing my channel grow at all. And the only growth is with videos. Podcasts don't grow your channel. If you see people growing with podcasts only, it's not legit. Anyways, with that said, I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening after the fact on, Spotify and all those other podcast streaming apps. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, game on.